Hello, my name is Yun. In today's video, I'm going to teach you one more adjective clause. But this time, adjective clause we use relative adverb. One more relative adverb is used in this lesson. You remember the first relative adverb? What was it? It was where. Okay. So what relative adverb used in adjective clause have no function. You know, they are not the subject or object at all. They use for where, for a place. Yeah. Today video I'm going to teach you when as a relative adverb used in adjective clause, both defining relative clauses and non-defining relative clauses. Look at the board with me. Adjective clauses, relative clauses, the same thing. So relative adverb, one is that so where is used for a place, where has no function at all. When used for a time. So these two relative adverbs no function in adjective clause. So first you have to learn defining relative clauses and non-defining relative clauses. Now look at the defining relative clauses. Two simple sentences can be combined into one complex sentence. Yeah. I remember the years. My dad died in that year. So years and year here. That year and year the same thing. So year is the antecedent. That's why in that year is object or preposition. We can write adjective clause like this. I remember the year which my dad died in. So in is a preposition. So from which to in is adjective clause. Modify the year. Because it is the defining relative clause, that's why we can use one more relative pronoun, that. I remember the year that my dad died in. It is adjective clause. When relative pronoun function as object or preposition, and preposition come at the end of each clause, relative pronoun object or verb, transitive verb or object or preposition like this, we can delete the relative pronoun and we can write like this. I remember the year my dad died in. So it is adjective clause. Modify the year. But you remember one about formal way. When it is object of preposition, normally we place preposition in front of relative pronoun. It is a formal way. Then we can write like this. I remember the year in which my dad died. As I say that year is the time. That's why in which here we can use one more. It is I remember the year when. Yeah. When my dad died. In fact, you only write I remember the year when my dad died like this. It's easier, but this one, and I want you to know that where when come from. In fact, when come from relative pronoun or come from preposition plus relative pronoun like this. If I write when directly, you might not understand because sometimes you miss understanding this one. Look at non-defining relative clauses. So in order to get when like this, we have to write 1, 2, 3, 4. We have to write 4 sentences, and then you can use relative adverb when in our adjective clause. How about non-defining relative clauses? On November 9, 1989, their lives changed again. The wall was torn down on November 9, 1989. Then we can write, because November 9, 1989 is the same thing, that's why it is proper noun. Then we can use comma. We can write our adjective like this. On November 9, 1989, which. So from which to on is adjective clause. Modify the number 9, 1989. So modify to all here. Their life change again. When preposition come at the end of each clause like this, you can place it in front of relative pronoun. We can on November 9, 1989, on which, yeah, on which the wall were torn down like this. It modified. My question is, can we use that in here? No. Can we omit which here? No, because it is non-defining relative clause. That's why we use only which and on which. On which here we can write another one. It's an on November 9, 1989. On which equal to when. So we can write when the wall were torn down. Yeah, adjective clause. Modify November 2099 here. The line change again. For non-defining relative clauses, we cannot write 4 sentences before we use one like this. No, we only write 2 sentences, one is which and the other preposition before relative pronoun which, and we start to write when. Well, again, when is used for time as a relative adverb, and when can be used in both defining relative clauses and non-defining relative clauses. Before we can write when here, we have to think of a preposition plus relative pronoun. When come from preposition plus relative pronoun. Why? Because when is relative adverb, so adverb has no function, subject or object at all. In non-defining relative clauses too, the same thing, but only non-defining relative clause. Before we start to use when in our relative clauses, we have to write 2 sentences only. One is which and the other is on which. It can be from on which, at which, or in which, same thing. Okay, so when cannot come as a subject and object. When is used for a time, and it comes from preposition plus relative pronoun or preposition plus noun in simple sentence. Of these 5 sentences, which one is the most formal? If when is not selected, in which is more formal, but this one, because of when a relative adverb like this, when is more for in the more formal. These 2, if when is not included, on which is the more formal, but when is included in this, so when is the more formal. Does it make sense, everyone? If you do not understand any point of when a relative adverb here, please write your question. Yeah, I'll try to answer all of your questions, but don't forget to watch my video every day. This comes to the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for watching my video, but don't forget to watch it every day. Okay, when you miss one video, you find it difficult to understand because everything is in order. Okay, see you later. Bye bye.